Welcome to the podcast, A Drink with Derek. Follow comedian Derek Richards on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe to his YouTube channel and watch all episodes of the podcast. Now grab a drink and join your host, Derek Richards.
Hey, it's Derek Richards here in Las Vegas. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining me today. Producer Sean Schultz down in Florida, who is currently without air conditioning. Sean, I don't know how you're doing it in Florida with no AC. God bless you. You've got to be just getting cooked like a brisket down there. I've got some upcoming dates. I had a great time, by the way, this past weekend in Columbus, Ohio with Dave Landau. I did have my rental car stolen. I'm going to talk about that here in a little bit. It was so ridiculous. I can't even wrap my brain around it. But I've got some dates coming up here. August 1st, I'll be in Pentwater, Michigan at the Village Pub. August 3, 4, and 5, I'll be at the Comedy Castle in Royal Oak, Michigan with Dave Landau. August 15th, be in Gladwin, Michigan at a place called Mr. M's. And then August 18th, the Comedy Room at Portofino in Wyandotte, Michigan. And then September 20th through the 24th at the Harris Casino in Cherokee, North Carolina. While you're online, grab a copy of my album, Double Down. My latest release, recorded in Florida. Get it on iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon. Double Down. It's fun. Trust me. iTunes, Spotify, Amazon. Double Down. Snag your copy today. Also, check out the show Normal World on Blaze TV. Both myself and my guest today have appeared on the show. We also did a couple of sketches on there as well. Normal World on Blaze TV. Subscribe now on their YouTube channel. That's for free. Go to Blaze TV, type in normal 20 as the promo code and save 20% off of your membership. My guest today is a former ball player. He's now a comedian and co-host of the Slick and Thick podcast. You can find his comedy sketches with Dave Landau on Normal World, also with Michael Loftus on That Show Tonight. He is also, he's got some dates coming up here. I'm going to pull this up real fast. I wanted to mention this. He's got some dates coming up. August 12th at the Roxy Event Center in Joplin, Missouri. August 17th, Mickey's Downtown Bistro, Lauderdale by the Sea, Florida. September 9th at the Wealthy Theater in Grand Rapids, Michigan. My guest today is Gerard Michaels on A Drink with Derek.
We got topless trannies and coke parties in the White House. DC's lit. I don't remember DC being this lit. I remember being a kid, DC was pretty uptight. You couldn't even stick cigars up fat chicks, man. It was like... DC got loose. And we got Corinne Jean-Pierre just like up there just lying to people. Hey, what do you think about cocaine in the White House? Okay, but how about all the other days cocaine wasn't found in the White House? I feel like you're not giving us credit for that. It's like trying to go on a date with OJ, be like, hey, what happened with that wife? Okay, but what about all the other girls I went on a date with?
You have to figure out a way to immunize yourself from external validation, especially the compliments, because the compliments are addicting. There's nothing like attention from an attractive female. There's nothing like getting respect from another male that you respect.
It's important in life not to let the highs get too high and the lows get too low.
Yeah.
You can't let the compliments make you feel like, yeah, I'm the and let that be your source of validation and pleasure. You gotta know that yourself. Know that you're practicing discipline and doing the right things, the hard things in your life. That's what's gonna give you actual validation, real validation that you can actually be proud of yourself. And it's the same way, like when someone says something, you can go like, I know what I'm doing.
We have a conversation and the whole thing goes away. Just listen to this happy customer.
So some chooch tried to convince my Tommy that he's a Tanya, not even a Teresa. So I called the Sabatini brothers, and now I don't gotta worry about that no more.
Well, whatever you want to live your life, you live your life. This is Doubtfire, one of my favorite movies of all time. All we're saying is, maybe leave the kids out of this, huh? That's it. We have a business that isn't for everybody also, but we leave the kids out of it, and so should you.
Yeah, we're not gonna drag an 8-year-old into the boom boom room for martini Sundays. So if you've had enough, call the Sabatini Family Protection Services.
1-800-GABAGOO.
And now, I'm gonna say this one more time. Use use a burner phone.
Yeah,
How
unbelievable.
dense are you people?
That show tonight with comedian Michael Loftus, comedian Gerard Michaels, podcast host as well. The Slick and Thick Show with UFC fighter Mickey Gall. Good to see you, buddy. How are you?
Derek, what's up, man? You're one of my absolute favorites. This is an honor to be here, man. Thank you so much to have me on, man.
Oh man, glad you're here for the show. Before we go any further, you're down in South Florida right now.
Yep.
Drink with Derek. I want to hear your go-to cocktail first and foremost.
Well, I'm a beer only guy these days because I used up all my whiskey tickets. But back in my halcyon days, I was a big fan of a Bullet Rye Manhattan was my favorite.
I've never heard the phrase
now
"used up
it's,
my whiskey tickets."
I used up all my whiskey tickets, buddy.
Oh man, that's got to be your T-shirt. That's funny as hell.
It's high score, beat the game. But I couldn't. I hit rock bottom, as we all do, and I was sitting there making a deal with God, like, hey, if you don't let me die, I'll never drink again. And then I'm realizing I'm lying to God, like right before I'm about to die. So I'm like, I'll never drink hard liquor again if you let me live. So now every now and then I have a couple beers, but that's about it.
It's important to go into mediation with God when you're having these conversations.
I can remember it vividly where I'm literally like, I'm lying to you. I might die and I'm lying to you.
Life is all about compromise.
Can we maybe meet in the middle here a little bit? Yeah, it still saves me and no hard liquor. That's final offer.
Well, now I've got it. Well, this obviously leads to the next question, which is way too easy. What is your best drunk story? If you used up all your whiskey tickets, there had to be a ticket that went to nowhere that you needed to have punched.
Yeah, my best drunk story. Well, I don't. What is the rating on this podcast?
You do whatever you want. All about truth.
My best drunk story was my girlfriend was cheating on me when I was playing in Wichita, and I got hammered and had a threesome in a public bathroom that night. That's my best drunk story in Wichita, Kansas. That was a good one. That's a good story. But most of my drunk stories don't have happy endings, man.
I know that's such a double-edged sword when I ask that question where you say, hey, what's your best drunk story? Well, that's a great story for you to tell, but some of the ones that you do tell, you're like, oh yeah, and then I ended up in jail. You're like, well, that was somebody's good. It makes for a good story. It doesn't necessarily have to be a happy ending.
I do have a couple of those. The one I'm talking about, I was hanging out with a guy named Jelly Roll, who's now a very massively famous recording artist. We were chilling at his, it was actually his 1 millionth subscriber on YouTube party. He was having this huge party. And I was on tour with this guy named Catfish Cooley at the time, like Redneck Jesus. And somehow, a couple bottles of Maker's Mark, we decided that, I could take on Jelly Roll's whole security team. And so Catfish and Jelly were betting on who would win in these fights. And I fared quite well. But the bottle of Maker's Mark, a gun came out, the party ended. Meanwhile, Jelly Roll is like Snapchatting this whole thing, and these girls start hitting me up like, hey, we want to come to the party. We want to come to the party. Of course. Why wouldn't random strangers want to hang out with me? So I hit them up as I come to the party. They're like, no, why don't you come here? I'm going to skip the details, but I ended up getting stabbed 6 times. And as I'm getting on the gurney. Yeah. Turns out, random girls just don't invite you over like that, So Nashville's still a great town. I still almost moved there.
Stabbed 6 times and you're laying on a gurney.
Yeah, laying on a gurney. That was my rock bottom. But being able to say that I wrestled Jelly Roll's entire security, and thank God I'm here to tell the tale. There's a lot more detail, but I'm going to spare you for now. But that one was again that was the one where I used up all my whiskey tickets here. I'm sitting.
I toast you, my friend.
Yeah,
taking on a guy's security team and taking 6 stab wounds. That is wickedly impressive.
The problem, man, is like when most people drink too much, they have the common sense to pass out like a gentleman. I just turn into a nonstop life ruining machine. You can't. So, I'm 6'1", 300-pound ex-professional athlete. Happily violent, and I need to be in control of myself at all times for the good of humanity, man. Like I describe myself, Derek, and I don't know if you, as a great Irishman yourself, feel this way. I describe myself as antiquated technology. This right here, this is the creme de la creme genetics for 16th century humanity. But in 21st century humanity, this is nonsensical. Like I'm a battleship in a world full of drones. Like this is nonsense, Like if you put me in the Highlands of Scotland in the 14th century, this is it. You can't get better than this. I'm not going to freeze to death. I'm not going to starve in the long winters. Battle axes, let's go. But you put me in a world where you need to be an accountant and a coder to make a living, I'm destitute. It's
you would be the king.
Time and place.
You would be the king in Scotland. You and Mel Gibson and you fit the mold absolutely perfect. I wish I had you.
When I hear these commie kids going off about they want revolution, I'm just sitting in the back going, yes, please, let's do this, please, please burn it down, you commie kids. Please unleash me. I'm begging you, please. Please defund the police. I beg you to defund the police, please. I beg you, please.
I wish I had you in Columbus, Ohio last weekend. I'm in Columbus, Ohio with Dave Landau. And
funny guy.
Literally, I have a rental car, a Kia Soul rental car. That's all they had left on the lot, intermediate at Detroit Metro Airport. All they had was a Kia Soul, a white Kia Soul.
At least it was mint green.
I wish it was mint green because I would have just laughed even more. I mean, it looked like it just came with, Taylor Swift downloads already in the computer. But I have a Kia Soul, and literally it gets stolen from the parking lot at the hotel in Columbus, Ohio. It gets stolen. And I call up Dave and I go, hey, am I losing my mind or did we not bring the car back last night? He goes, oh, we parked the car. And I go, well, it's gone. And it turns out that apparently Kias are stolen all the time in Ohio and Pennsylvania because they're easy to steal. You can pop off some. I know. I didn't know this either. But everybody in Columbus, Ohio knew. Every time I told somebody, yeah, I had a Kia Soul that got stolen. Like, oh, Kia? Yeah, I can understand that. I'm like, what do you understand? I go, how low on the theft ring chain do you have to be stealing Kia Souls? Apparently, they're being taken by teenagers and joyriding them, and they're crashing them, and they could care less. And they're being stolen left and right because all you have to do is pop something off of the steering column, and there's literally like a USB that you can shove in there, start the car, and take it.
Really?
How long do you think, my question to you, Gerard Michaels, Mr. No Longer with Whiskey Tickets, how long does a Kia thief last in county lockup?
I got to tell you, I can't imagine that that's happening domestically. Like North Korea must be coming over here. Like they have sleeper cells. Their society is so decrepit and non-functioning that it's easier for them to send a sleeper cell to Columbus, Ohio, steal a couple Kia Souls, than it is from them to retro engineer and build a warehouse. I don't know that. Can you imagine standing in front of the judge, looking at 10 years for Grand Theft Auto, and the judge being like, "It was a $17,000 Kia, bud. Like, what happened here? Like,
wasn't even that. The car had 65,000 miles on it. It's a budget rental car. So, it's called budget, not fancy rent a car. So
Yeah.
the car had 65 grand on it, and these kids steal the Kia Soul. Thankfully, I had nothing in there that was of any value. I didn't have any.
Well, really, it's just a major
suitcases or anything like that.
Because, yeah, it's
it was a
just
huge
major
pain in the ass.
inconvenience. Oh, such a pain, and then you got to go through. You got to go through everything with budget.
Yeah,
and
budget, the credit card company, the cops,
that.
all that stuff. Yeah, unbelievable for a Kia Soul.
I got to tell you, that's got to be hilarious for Landau, because we were just in Jacksonville together like 2 weeks ago, and
right.
If the car was going to get stolen anywhere, that you played there, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go deep into detail, but if it was going to get, Landau did the funniest joke. He did the funniest joke. There were kids in the pool outside the hotel, and you could hear them screaming from inside the comedy club. And Landau just goes, "Oh, that's the sound of freedom," and just moves on.
Oh no!
He's like, "Don't mind that." He's like, "Don't mind that. That's the sound of freedom." And people are taking a second to register, and he's like, "It's better not to know. It's better not to know."
Oh my God, that is so damn funny. That is absolutely hilarious. Well, this is actually a perfect segue.
Still got stolen.
They literally, I have no idea how they even or why they did, but I'm like, I don't know how they get. I told Dave, I said, "Hey, my credit card company said I've got the theft coverage," and Dave and Dan Landau goes, "Oh, so Capital One's got to fork over $3,100." He goes, "I'm sure they're thrilled." And I'm like, 3,100. I go, that is way more than that car is worth. Perfect segue for what you said. I know. Perfect segue to what you had mentioned about somebody being on stage and hearing a distraction. Did you hear about the Miranda Lambert situation out here in Las Vegas?
Yeah, wild.
Yeah, she's on stage. She's going into her song, and I've seen her in concert. I love her. She's a great, fantastic artist. But there was a clip, and I want to go ahead and show the clip here real quick. Sean, pull this up. This is at Planet Hollywood, Las Vegas, Miranda Lambert. Most people have seen this, but if you have not, go ahead and play this clip here.
Shouldn't spend your whole life something bound to fall apart. I'm gonna stop right here for a sec, Danny. I'm sorry. These girls are worried about their selfie and not listening to the song. It's pissing me off a little bit.
I love the way she handled that. I thought that was great. Now, as a performer, because obviously we're stand-up comics, and then again, I started reading all these comments because, of course, the girl that had the picture taken, it was her with like 5 of her friends, and of course she's on, Good Morning America, and she's like, "Oh, Miranda, dress me down. I felt like I was being lectured, by a teacher." I'm like, well, yeah, you're being lectured by it. Exactly. If you're acting like a child, that's going to happen. And I was seeing the comments that were being posted on social media where people were calling Miranda Lambert a prima donna. And they were saying, well, these people pay thousands of dollars for their seats. They should be able to go ahead and take a selfie. I'm like, listen, you and I both know there is no way that 6 women just jumped up, took one selfie, and sat down. We've all seen it no matter where we've been. You've dated somebody, and you're taking 35 selfies with 35 different angles, different lighting configurations, and it turns as it turns out, that's exactly what happened. I mean, it wasn't like they stood up, took the picture. They took multiple photos. They were standing right in front of the stage, being disruptive as hell. As a performer, how do you think she handled that?
Well, first of all, I want to go on the record as saying I agree with you. White women are a plague on society in general. I mean, Derek, Like our founding fathers, they left us so few rules. They were like, guys, you can have this utopia, just don't let them vote and don't let them go to shows. Like that's it. Like that's all, and you can just have this utopia. They're looking down on us like we left just so few rules, guys. No, but but as a performer, there is nothing more terrifying, nothing on earth more terrifying than a group of 6 blonde women with streaked hairs sitting together and ordering white wine. You know, at some point, you see, man, you're going to get me on one here. I think the problem is that these women...
It's better you don't have whiskey anymore.
Can you imagine?
You're getting this wound up with a cup of coffee. It is a really good thing that your whiskey tickets are gone.
It's impossible for these people to not be the center of attention for a full hour. They have reached such peak narcissism that they can't allow the attention to be on something else other than them for the entire duration of a show, right? And here's the rule. The rule is, for anybody listening to this, you can't pull focus. As soon as I see people looking at you instead of me, I have to address it. If you're talking loud at your table, if you're trying to heckle, as long as I can see the crowd is still focused on me, I'm going to ignore you. I'm going to ignore you and let you die out. I'm going to let you die on the vine. I'm not going to feed it. But as soon as people start looking at you, okay, now you've made the show about you. And what happens next is not going to be something you like. I can promise you that. Because I have to put an end to this. If I'm playful with you, I'm now encouraging other people to turn my set into a Matt Rife disaster. All right, where now we're just doing communal comedy. Right. And I think unfortunately because of guys, and I'm not hating on Matt Rife, he's very successful, very talented dude, but because of the success he's had in TikTok. And because of some of these things that people have seen, Pink, somebody ran up on stage and threw their mother's ashes on stage during the Pink concert. Like the audience thinks they're a part of the show. Will Smith running up on stage smacking people, like these people think they're a part of the show. No, you're not a part. This is not an interactive experience. We're here to perform. You're there to take in the performance. Right? When you try to make the show about you, and this is the big thing with Miranda Lambert. Look at where she's looking. She's looking right dead center in the front row. These girls were sitting there huddling up. No, I don't like that angle. Take it from an bitch. Can I do the show?
Oh yeah.
Can I perform here? Can I? If you want to be like that, guys, and if you can afford those tickets, hire your own paparazzi. You want to be a Kardashian? Hire a photographer to take pictures of you from all different angles, all right? Make it about you for your social media extravaganza. Everybody's their own PR agent. I get it, but come on. You can't ruin the experience for the people around you, and you can't pull focus from the artist. Those are the 2 rules. There's so few rules. And I actually think she handled it perfectly. I would have handled it way worse. I probably would have jumped in, made like a joke about it. Like, hey, can I get in the picture too? Everybody would have like, woo, and I would have taken the phone and fucking chucked it.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well,
what did we learn?
Again, the whole thing is exactly. Well, and the whole thing is, again, just because you bought a ticket to the show didn't buy you the ticket to now make it all about you. You bought the ticket to see the artist, and somebody had posted this thing. I can't remember who it was. I was trying to find it here. The best comment I heard was from a lady. It said, "Sit your hag ass down and watch the artist that you came to pay to see." And hashtag Team Miranda. Yeah. So Miranda Lambert, I love you as an artist. I love you as a human being, and for what you did to that crowd right there. And again, thousands of people are cheering. So obviously, it was a distraction for not just Miranda, but for everybody around them.
Derek,
too. So I thought she handled it beautifully.
Man. You're a little bit older than me, not a lot, but like
6
when
months.
Did we as 6 months 7 months, I think. When did we as a culture, this is all just for men, when did we as a culture lose the capacity for shame? I feel like people don't have the healthy level of shame that they used to have. Like you used to be able to like count on somebody not doing something so shamefully narcissistic because they'd be like, wow, people think I'm a narcissist. Like that's how society worked for a long time.
Right.
We kept each other in check. Now we've lost all capacity for like what
it's
is
the wild west.
Yeah. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. You talk about like I lost kind of all feeling, emotion, sympathy, empathy, whatever you want to call it. A couple years ago when Antifa was burning everything down during the Summer of Love, and then they asked the one girl, they were like, "What do you think about burning these people's buildings down?" And the lady looks without even breaking a beat to think about it. She just goes, "They have insurance." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. These are the rules now. These are the rules now. So now everybody I don't like, I can just punch in the face, and if I break their jaw, I just go, they got insurance, right?" Like I don't get it. If I have worked,
if you steal a Kia Soul and you think I have insurance on that thing, you are sadly mistaken.
Oh, you know what, bro? Do you know what the punishment for stealing a Kia Soul should be? Having to drive around in a Kia Soul. The next 20 years.
How do you roll up as a male, any self-respecting male, and pull up in your gangster hood with your chicks hanging out on the porch, and you go, "Look what I got, huh?"
Yeah.
Who wants some of this?
You throw some neons under those 10-inch rims. You drift on into the IHOP parking lot. What's up, baby?
Pull out some 10-inch rims on the donut that you're driving around on those. It's the spare tire donut. Speaking of which, I want to talk about the Antifa thing only because there's another story that's been obviously circling for a while. Was the Jason Aldean song? Try that in a small town. Now that's been talked about 50 million ways to Cleveland. The question I had for you is that song, and of course, obviously, it was just basically talking about the riots, the burning of stealing, just the chaos that was going on. And he, of course, says, try that in a small town, and you're basically not going to get very far. And of course, he's being called every name imaginable. CMT pulled this stuff off. I think Luke.
But he's not being called wrong.
No, he's not wrong. he's being called everything but that. Now, my question to you for Jason Aldean, if that song was performed by a black artist, what do you think the response would be?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that I've become very friendly with. A lot of my ex-teammates, man, people of color, people from all over the country. It's just so condescending. One of them even posted about it. I'm not going to say his name because I don't think he'd want the attention, but he posted about it, and he's a liberal guy, and he's like, so the song says, if you steal, if you riot, if you loot, you're going to have consequences, and everybody immediately thinks he's talking about black people. He's like, and then his thing was like, Antifa was mostly white at the end, guys. BLM was a white movement in most of the cities. So the fact that the people trying to defend or go on the offensive against Jason Aldean, they're the actual racists. Nobody said anything about these guys being black. You're just assuming, well, this is the Joe Biden, crap. This is, poor kids are just as smart as white kids. I mean, this is the President of the United States said that out loud. I mean, they tell you exactly who they are, man. And the fact that we as a country sit here and think like protecting yourself and your community is not a virtue, we've been turned upside down. Listen, there's a reason why those riots happened where they happened. There's a reason why every 100,000, 200. I remember when I was living in Brooklyn, and this was kind of the last straw. Well, I was living in Jersey City, working in Brooklyn, and this was kind of the last straw before I was like, I gotta move down south. We were locked down. I couldn't do comedy. I was working in the entertainment industry, and we were locked down. I still had to pay rent. I got my $1,200 check, and now I'm trying to pay $3,000 a month rent in my loft, but they won't let us out. We're locked down.
No.
Businesses are closed, but they're having it was some sort of it was a gay and trans march during the teeth of COVID outside of the Brooklyn Museum, and it was like 200,000 people, Derek. And I'm sitting here going, who are you marching against? Everybody in Brooklyn agrees with you. Like,
right.
Why don't you guys all hop on a plane and go march in Riyadh or Saudi Arabia? Why don't you take this march through the streets of Beijing? Like, why are you marching through downtown Brooklyn? Everybody agrees with you. Right. This is a show of force. That's all this is. So we're shut down, but you guys can go out whenever you want because you're the guys that are really in charge. All right, you win. I'll see you in Florida. And that's that. And that's kind of it. And so I'll take what Jason Aldean said, and I'll escalate it because I've had these conversations with Canadians, especially down here in Florida. And it has nothing to do with race, and it has everything to do with ideology. If these commies that already forced us out of our home, they tried to silence us. Derek, you're one of the funniest dudes I've ever seen live. You're legitimately knocked down, hilarious for 60 minutes. If you were a liberal, you'd be a household name with your own Tonight Show. And you're not even that conservative of a guy. If you were just leftist, you'd be a late night TV host, no doubt about it. If I was willing to toe the line, I know where my career would be. I wrote on TV. I know what being disobedient to the machine gets you. And that's fine. I've made this decision. And my fans, I love them to death. Whatever small fan base I have, they come out, they support, they purchase. I love those people. I love the slick and thick fans. I love them. But there's also a tinge of it's fight or flight. I've already flighted. Flighted? Floated?
Right.
Flitted?
Flighted.
Flitted.
Flighted works.
Right?
I'll go with flighted.
Now if you bring that shit to my door again, what happens next? My conscience is clear. As the great Dave Chappelle once said, somebody I probably disagree with politically 90% of the way, but man, did he nail it when he said this. He said, the First Amendment is first for a reason. You better stop censoring what people say because the repressed explode. The First Amendment is first, and the Second Amendment is there if the first don't work.
I haven't heard it put that way before, but I like that. I'm a big fan. You were I want to ask because obviously you're a stand-up comedian now, and you're also a podcast host, the Slick and Thick Show with Mickey
Revolutionary,
Gall. And it was what's that?
Revolutionary.
Yeah, exactly. Revolutionary. I'll go with revolutionary.
And again, this is me sober.
I know. It's a really good thing that you had that conversation with God. It really is it's a very good thing for all of humanity. How did you go from being, now you were a ball player, you were a baseball player.
Yeah.
You're like one of the largest. Outside of Aaron Judge, you are a big ass dude. And I'm like, what did you play? I'm picturing, I was a catcher or first baseman, so.
Yeah, well, I was a catcher, and then they tried moving to first base, and I was so bad at first base, they tried moving to left field. So bad at left field, they moved me into comedy.
Who did you play with? What was your how far did you get in the system?
Sure, I was in the Cardinals organization, rookie ball, A ball. Then I played independent ball for a bunch of years. Did an off season with Toronto. I played in Mexico a little bit and finished up in really St. Paul Saints. I guess the highest level I got to would be considered the Atlantic League, which was really, incredible baseball. It was a lot of fun, man. It was a lot of fun. I loved it. And I tell people this all the time. Like, baseball, it didn't need to change the rules. All they needed to do was put a pay-per-view Twitch stream in the dugout. The funniest human beings on earth are baseball players chirping other baseball players. Now, the Players Union would probably never go along with this. But the conversations, the conversations in the dugouts are the funniest conversations you've ever heard in your life. I mean, the things that the guys are talking about, the way that they talk, they're so funny. It's just, and because so much of it is just wasting time until your next at bat, or
Sure.
a pitcher. The pitcher that pitched the day before, he did his job for the week. He went out, had a couple, and now he's nursing it, and he's sitting in there, and you're telling your war stories, or you gotta remember when from the last time you were in this city, or it's so funny. It's the greatest reality television of all time, and it would make baseball the most popular sport in the world again.
I would love to see that. I often say, when they show those segments on when you're watching Monday Night Football and they're like, hey, here's so-and-so mic'd up. I'm like, that's not mic'd up. Mic'd up, again, I want to see a camera trained on the coach, and I want to hear everything that's being said between him
100.
and the players and the arguments when you see these guys going after each other on the sidelines. I go, that is where they would make ridiculous money. We could take off these stupid-ass little sponsor patches that all the teams have now.
Yeah.
And just have a pay feed just going right into your favorite team's dugout, like you said, or a sideline on an NFL team. That would be hilarious.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine the running back who just got smashed by the 320-pound D lineman getting after the lineman on the side, the guy that blew the block? Like that alone, man. You imagine just a feed. I just want to listen to Marshawn Lynch all game long. I want to know what's going on in that crazy brain of his. Because some of these guys, they're very auditory. Like as he's juking somebody, he'd be like, nope, nope. Like it's so funny. It's so funny. Like it's so much more dynamic than these nerds that run the teams ever think it is, because they've never played the sport.
Right.
It's insane to me that the people that run these things have never done it. It's nuts. They've never even put on a pair of cleats, so they don't understand their own product. It drives me up a wall, man. It really does. And that's what makes Manningcast. I think you nailed it. That's what makes Manningcast so good. Because it's just a whole bunch of ex-ball players BSing the whole time. And then look, the game's going on in the background, but you're getting all that other insight. You're getting all I say the same thing with comedy. I really do. The real special is following the comedian before and after the special with all the stress, having to deal with all the crap, waiting backstage. The opening act is blowing through the light. He's cutting his own special, doing 25 up there. Now you're heated in the back. Like, that's the juice, baby. Like, it's like, hey, somebody light this guy. What's this guy doing? I mean, that's the real juice right there, man. I mean, to me, that's if we want reality TV, like let's just go all in on actual reality. If we have no shame, let's just have no shame.
We have no shame now.
Man.
And you're going to make money on it. If you could go ahead and charge for a Twitch feed to even pay more to isolate a particular player, like you're talking Marshawn Lynch, or like back before Antonio Brown lost his mind.
Oh,
how great would that have been? How great would that have been to be on the sideline?
Watching that meltdown in real time.
That meltdown where he took off his jersey and he was running off the field. I'm like, this is great. You would have made a killing, NFL. I'd have dumped my entire.
Take all my money. Have
Have
it. I can watch Antonio Brown melt down in real time. Yes, yours. This is what you want, right? Notice I'm a comedian.
You got my money.
Singles.
I don't need another tribute jersey. You want to make money off me? Just again, give me access to the product that I'm watching. Give me the access that I want, and I will give you the money. Now you're out of, athletics, but you're now working with an athlete right now in Mickey Gall, UFC fighter, who is a machine, by the way. I follow him on social media.
Great.
Good God.
Big fan of yours too, man.
I mean, great guy. Yeah, super, super cool guy. You came out in Sarasota with Mickey and his whole crew from the what was it? The Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, David Adiv. That just happened to work out perfectly. We were out there filming. Those guys were filming a seminar.
Right.
With David Adiv is one of the best jiu-jitsu coaches in the world. And he's down there doing a seminar, and Mickey was helping out. Mickey is one of his black belts, and it was perfect, man. It was very gracious of you to let me hop on, man. That was so cool.
No, that was great. It was fun to have you out there at McCurdy's Comedy Theater in Sarasota, and your crew came out there. And now you work with Mickey now on the podcast, the Slick and Thick Show. Give me the elevator pitch on the Slick and Thick Show. To the people watching this right now, why should people tune into this? I know why people should tune into this, because it's a hilarious, very well produced, very well thought out podcast, and you guys are both about as honest as you can possibly get. So you sell me on this podcast.
I think that's it. I think you have two guys that genuinely like hanging out with each other, discussing topics one person knows about, maybe the other person doesn't. From a lens, we have no narrative. We're not trying to push a direction on anybody. We're just literally having a good time with good people. I think the cool thing with us is if I had one word to use, it would be authentic. What you see is what you get. We've had preachers on, and we've had prostitutes. We've had bank robbers, and we've had movie stars. We've got guys that are fighting in the UFC currently, and we have guys that that no one's ever heard of, that are some of the most influential people in the history of the sport, right? So I think really access would be another real cool thing. Like, it's a weird thing where Mickey is like the world's funniest fighter, and I'd like to think I'm the world's most athletic comedian, or Brendan Schaub's in there, obviously. but with all due respect to Brendan Schaub and and every WWE wrestler who's now doing comedy, I'm a pretty athletic comedian, and he's a really funny fighter. So really funny athlete. It just really works well. We have. I also think, and maybe this isn't, it shouldn't be this way, but it is this way. So you're gonna get the guys open up to us in ways that they don't with other quote unquote media, because we're not media. We're like one of the guys, right. We've been on the mats, we've trained, we work out together. So, like one of our best episodes, I think that we did was with, the former champ, Rashad Evans. And it was just fun. It was 2 hours of fun. We could have talked for 6 hours. And, he gave us one of the best compliments that I think anybody could give us. And he works for ESPN too. And he goes, at the end, he goes, normally I'm looking at my watch and I can't wait for these to end. He was like, man, I could have talked to you guys for another 2 hours. And I think very much like yourself, it's just, I think that's what the audience wants, right? I think we do a good job of making the audience feel like they're in the room with us. And that, I don't think, can be faked. I just really think that we have a great chemistry. I love the kid. He's an amazing human being. And we have a great time doing the show. I'm very, very, very grateful for it.
Well, and that platform is Gas Digital, where you can go ahead and check out Slick and Thick Show. So go on there, and it's on Mondays and Saturdays. Is that correct?
Yeah.
At like 2 p.m. Eastern time?
That's right. Monday and Saturday at 2 o'clock, gasdigital.com. You can use the code SNT30 for a free month. SNT30 for a free month. You get free access to all the videos, every video we've ever done, plus you can comment on the video. But if you want to check out all of our clips, they're also on our YouTube, on our TikTok, and on our Instagram as well.
Yeah, definitely. And follow Slick and Thick Show on Instagram, and also Gerard Michaels and Mickey Gall separately too, because some great follows on there, and the clips that you guys post from the podcast are great. So I mean, if you're like, don't want to commit to this podcast, go ahead and go online and check out the social media reels that you guys post up there, which are fantastic. Now, you and I had the pleasure of being a part of this killer sketch. Blaze Media down in Dallas, Texas, with our mutual friend Dave Landau, Quarter Black Garrett, the whole crew. Those guys just do such a good job down there. And you and I were both part of this sketch. I'm going to go ahead. I'm not even going to just say what it is. I'm going to go ahead and play this sketch from Normal World, the show with Dave Landau, Quarter Black Garrett on Blaze TV. Sean, go ahead and roll this clip.
It's a forgotten game of winners, with only one loser.
It was the greatest sport ever played, and I was lucky enough to be its announcer from 1991 to 2020. I even got to call games in the heyday. I called games for Buck McMackey.
You all saw me out there.
dominating. You saw the way I wouldn't catch a ball to save my life. As soon as the ball hit my hands, boom, in somebody else's hands before they can even think about tackling me.
Buck was one of the greatest in this or any era. In 11 seasons, he was only smeared once.
A game where only the strongest survived.
You know, when I was a kid, my father would take us to Grambo Field every Saturday. Those players were like gods to us, you know? I used to sit and watch them play, and I dream of going pro like them someday myself. You know, for one shining moment, I did that. Until the league went under. Sorry, Pops.
The last game I ever called was July 6th, 2020. And to me, that's the day that professional sports died in America.
It's unclear where the game originated. Some say Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. Others say Southie in Boston. But most likely, it was in Philadelphia when some kids were playing football and decided they wanted to have cheesesteaks.
It was lunchtime and one of the kids goes, "Hey, let's go to Gino's for a cheesesteak." And this other kid goes, "I don't want a cheesesteak, I'm vegetarian." And then boom! Just like that, Smear the Queer was invented.
The game was brilliant in its simplicity. You threw the ball up in the air, it landed next to somebody, and now they're the queer. They have to pick it up and get rid of it or else... Once it became a professional sport, Smear the Queer swept the nation. Everybody had a team. The Topeka Baptists, the New England Rastafarians, the San Diego Stepdads. It was a cultural phenomenon.
The stadiums were packed every Saturday. And the rules were simple. The home team would come out, have 6 innings to smear their queer. Then it goes to the visitors, they have 7 outings to smear theirs.
Get all the analytics and the overcoaching. It was a simple game. Whoever smeared the most queers won. It was an honor to be a part of an STQL dynasty. It was more than a game, man. It was an American institution.
In 2015, the league instituted a new rule where teams could now choose one player to be queer the whole game.
Yeah, back then I was warming the bench in the Wyoming Pistol Whippers and feeling pretty down on myself. But then Coach came and took me aside and said, "You are the all-time queer." Made me feel pretty good. I think every team after that in the league had an all-time queer. But it took its toll.
This is what they signed up for, man. Nobody made you be queer. You knew what you were getting yourself into. You signed up to be the queer, and I signed up to smash the queer. Like what? Like, come on now. This is how the game was played back then.
Suddenly there was just all this new information about head injuries and people were getting more and more concerned.
I was asked to study the brains of several retired all-time queers from the STQL. And, well, if you look over here, we have an example of healthy, unsmeared brain tissue. And then what? And then you're just going to cut to that? Or do you notice the coloring? It's a healthy purple. Whereas this slide is the brain tissue of a retired all-time queer. I think it speaks for itself.
I don't want to hear all that industry mumbo jumbo about doctors and lawyers, and every time you eat a cheeseburger, does somebody say, "Oh, we're causing heart attacks across the country"? No, you know what? This is what people want. People want to eat a cheeseburger and they want to smear a queer. This is what America. This is America. Like, well, I don't understand what this retrospective is about, frankly.
I think a lot of it. The whole thing is what doing with the queens.
The name's not what's problematic about this. Do you understand? Kill the guy with the ball doesn't... You're killing a man. In fact, smear sounds a little bit too light for what they are doing.
I always say the Jews and words the same.
I've made it my life's mission to put an end to the all-time queer. Especially after the Felix Grahams incident of '94.
Felix Grahams was all-time queer for the Miami Pink Sox. Things got out of control and he was smeared to death. Many people called the incident a hate crime, and gay rights groups started protesting at every game. That's when attendance got thinner and thinner.
Whoa, hey, no.
Juice versus squeeze. Juice versus squeeze.
With an ongoing concussion scandal and changing social attitudes, it seemed like things couldn't get any worse for the STQL. But no one was prepared for what happened next.
We limped along until 2020, then COVID hit. That changed everything.
In accordance with CDC guidelines, on-field social distancing rules were implemented, and players had to stand 6 feet apart at all times. And since then, it's just not the game we grew up with.
When the league folded, a lot of players didn't have anything to fall back on. Some went into podcasting, others law enforcement. Still, there were others who tried to move on as if nothing had ever happened, and that's when Smear the Queer went underground. Men would lie to their families to go out and do what they loved.
Like, you have to understand one thing. I don't smoke, I don't drink, okay? My only addiction was smearing the queer.
We were all heartbroken. But you just gotta lick your wounds and move on, I suppose. But when the league ended, the silver lining is it gave me a chance to be a father.
Oh, your kids still play Smear the Queer then?
Oh, I don't have custody.
Critics, man, they can say whatever they want, all right? It's not like I got my father killed from not paying my gambling debts, all right? Like, it was Smear the Queer. Buck was paid to smear the queer, and Buck was the best in the world at doing it. And it was a different time, and I get all that, but you know what? If they asked me to do it again today, I would do it in a heartbeat. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to go lead a high-speed chase and maybe end my own life. All right? Would that make you happy, critics? Blame it on the CTE.
I think this game always be remembered as a national disgrace.
If you could go back in time, would you do it all over again?
All day. All day. All day. All day.
I'm actually still playing. They started a new league in Uganda.
How fun was that sketch to do? They put that together like over the course of about a couple weeks because you were down there like the first week they were on, and then I was there like a couple weeks into when the show started. And they literally handed me these lines when I got there, and they go, "Hey, would you want to be in this 30 for 30 thing on Smear the Queer?" I'm like, "Yeah." So they're like, "Okay, yeah." We were talking.
They did a legit 30 for 30.
Videos,
it's 12 minutes long. They made a 30 for 30. Like if there was actual highlights from a real game that they can put in, it was a 30 for 30. And the most impressive thing is that they did it in a couple weeks. I was like, this is insane. This is a short movie. And I got to tell you, I thought the whole thing was so funny. The cojones to put that out there in today's day and age. And then when people are gonna think I'm kissing your butt or not, I'm telling you, the truth of the matter is, when you did that Philly accent and you were like, I'm a vegetarian, and the queer was more, dude, I died. It was so funny. I ad-libbed that Jordan reference on like the last take. I can't believe it made it into the thing. If I ever have the pleasure,
did you?
Yeah, if I ever have the pleasure, the honor of meeting Michael Jordan, man, I'm gonna hope to God, like, I hope everybody in the world sees it but him. You know? Like, what? I speed the queer. It's not like I got my father killed by gambling debts.
I didn't know that you had ad-libbed that. That is hysterical. And I encourage everybody to share that clip because it's being suppressed on social media because of its obvious, content. But I think it's hands down one of the funniest things that I've seen. Dave Landau put it together, and he wrote it, but then everybody else was just the whole crew is outstanding,
man. Yeah, everybody's got to support Normal World. What they're doing is so important for the culture at large. It's kind of bigger than comedy what they're trying to undertake, man. And I can't preach their value to all of us in the comedy community enough. To just to have freedom of expression, actual freedom of expression again would just. I personally think our way out of all of this is satire. I really think the more we can hammer these petty tyrants, the more we can make, all of their nonsense obvious. I mean, that's the whole thing with that show tonight. Like, when we did the Sabatini sketches, it's like, okay, well, how can we present what's happening in a way that's not going to get us canceled, right? Because the jokes write themselves now, Derek. It's right there. Cocaine in the White House. Like, okay, this isn't even a sketch. This is the news. So now, how do we make fun of this in a way that they're not going to censor us? Because we are in a bizarro world where the people committing the crimes don't get in trouble anymore. The people who talk about the people committing the crimes do. So this is where sketch comedy, stand-up comedy podcasts, I really think they're very, very, very important to help kind of like it helps people understand that they're being gaslit. Like, what your audience listening to this, you're not crazy. These are nuts times. These are crazy people. You're not the problem. I'm telling you, it's not you, folks. They'll make you feel like it's you, but it's not you. It's not racist or homophobic to ask questions before you put something in your body. That's not it. You're not crazy, man.
I know it's a clown world. If you can't see that we're living in this clown world, and if you can't laugh at it, then you're just gonna lose your mind. You're gonna end up killing yourself. It's awful. Now you're in South Florida here. As we go ahead and wrap this up here, Sean, our producer, who is in Inglewood, Florida, he is sweating like a rapist right now. His air conditioning is out at his house. He has got to be just dropping pounds even as he is producing this podcast. So, Sean, I thank you. I commend you for sticking through it and not telling me no, we can't record today because I don't have air conditioning. What's the most you would give up, Gerard Michaels, to have your air conditioning fixed in South Florida in the summer when it goes out?
I immediately go to butthole. I'd give up the butthole for sure. Quickly. Quick.
I did not see that coming.
Yeah. You know what? At this stage of life, I'm not using it. I turn the air on. It's funny. You talk about the minor leagues before. We would sit on the bus, 21-year-old, young, dumb, strong.
By the way,
strong.
Forgive me. How we went from giving up the butthole to talking about the minor leagues, but continue.
Yeah. So we'd sit on the bus, and we'd have to take these 10-hour bus rides, right?
Oh yeah.
And half the bus barely spoke English, and the half the bus that did spoke English spoke it poorly. So we'd sit there and we'd play these like games, like never would I ever or something like that. It's like you'd sit there and be like, all right, here you go. I'll give you $10,000 to eat a spoonful of poop out of Angelina Jolie's butt. Oh, no way, man. Absolutely not. How much? Millions of dollars. And we're 21 years old, and we're full of hope, and we're going to the major leagues. And I think about those days often now as I sit here and I go, man, it's remarkably pathetic what I would do for like $1,000 now. Like, it's remarkable. Like, my air conditioning's turned off. You want my butt? I mean, you got to make it work.
Sean, I want you to bring up the whiskey ticket, give up the butthole tour coming up for Gerard Michaels. Pull up these dates that he has coming up. He's going to be in Joplin, Missouri, August 12th at the Roxy Event Center, August 17th at Mickey's Downtown Bistro, Lauderdale by the Sea, Florida, and then September 9th at the Wealthy Theater in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Make sure you follow him on social media, Gerard Michaels, the Slick and Thick Show podcast with Mickey Gall. And again, check out the clip again on Normal World with on Blaze TV. Please go ahead and share that clip with as many sick humans as you can possibly forward that to. And again, buddy, I can't thank you enough for your time, my friend. I'm so happy to get a chance to connect, and I will look forward to hopefully seeing you down at your studios here coming up here real soon.
Man, I'm honored to be a part of it, man. Thank you so much for having me on, and it'd be a true blessing to have you on, Slick and Thick. Can't wait, man. You're really one of the funniest dudes in America, Derek, man. You really are.
Oh, you're very kind. Thank you so much, man. I will. I'll take you up on that butthole.
Yeah. Now it's a party. I'll turn the air off. Sean, you're invited.
It is a party. Turn off the air and turn up your ass.
You hear that?
Here we go.
You hear that, Hollywood? Can you let us in now? Will you let us in now, Hollywood? Are we SAG? Is this how we become
That's our
SAG?
show. A Drink with Derek. I'm out of here. Gerard Michaels, Derek Richards. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks for listening to A Drink with Derek. Find out when Derek is appearing near you by checking out DerekRichards.com. See you next time for A Drink with Derek.